What's up, everyone? Welcome back to TnVGaming, and let's chit-chat for a second here, shall we? Today I wanted to talk about Spyro the Dragon. Now, way back early in August, actually August 4th to be more specific, Activision made an announcement saying that they have one more great IP in their portfolio that they're considering remastering, which is great. You know, good for Activision. They have quite a big number of IPs under their belt. Some of them are mistreated, others are milked to the point of no return, but I digress. With the success of the Insane Trilogy since its launch, all eyes immediately turned to Spyro upon this announcement. Now, Mike, I have a posing question that either you, the audience, can answer, or we'll eventually wait to see if Spyro gets remastered, is who's going to handle it? I ask this because there's actually a few things. Assuming this does get remastered, which I'm kind of struggling to wrap my head around, because it's not that I don't want it, it's just back in the 90s, in 1997, 98, and 99, when Spyro 1, 2, and 3 came out, they consistently sold less than Crash Bandicoot did. Crash 1 sold 6.82 million units since 96 of its launch. Crash Bandicoot 2 sold 7.58 million units, and Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped sold 7.13 million units. Crash 2 was the pinnacle of Crash Bandicoot sales. Spyro the Dragon sold 5 million units on its first game, 3.52 on its second game, and 3.71 on the third game. So when we look at these numbers, we see that Spyro consistently sold half or less than half of the games that Crash sold, with the exception of the first title, which held its own compared to Crash. The result is Spyro has quite a bit smaller, the fan base is significantly smaller than Crash's is. And they've always been less vocal. Crash has always had a very loud, demanding fan base that, you know, you change one thing, they'll complain about it endlessly. But the point is they have this franchise has a large fan base, and with it, the Insane Trilogy smashing everyone's expectations in sales, I'm worrying that Activision is going to expect this same level of just out-of-the-blue success with Spyro the Dragon, when history shows us that Spyro was consistently the underdog to Crash Bandicoot. He consistently just sold less. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It was still a profitable franchise. It was still pretty well known on the PlayStation. It just wasn't as well known as Crash Bandicoot. He wasn't as approachable as Crash Bandicoot. And apparently he certainly wasn't as marketable as Crash Bandicoot, because back in 1996, 7, 8, 9, and even 2000, with the launch of Crash Team Racing, when people thought of PlayStation, they thought of Crash Bandicoot. I'm sure some thought of Spyro, but as a majority rule, they thought of Crash Bandicoot because he was defined as PlayStation's mascot. Now, Spyro was known, he was there too, but he just wasn't as successful. Now, thankfully, nostalgia is a very powerful thing, and that's obviously what helps sell the Insane Trilogy, and I'm sure if they remaster it, it will tap into Crash's fan base as well as new players. But the posing question is, who is going to handle it? Crash and Spyro, even though they coexisted back in the day, they are two very different beasts by nature. Crash Bandicoot's levels were complex in their own right, but they were very linear, very closed, and very limited to what you can do. Spyro's worlds, when we look at, say, Spyro 2, which is my favorite game of the franchise, the pinnacle, I believe, of Spyro's design and music, the levels are gorgeous. Even when you look back, the colors, everything is just gorgeous. And the best part, it's open world. You can go wherever you want, collect things, kill the sheep, kill the frogs, you know, whatever the case may be. And each of the worlds within the Dragon Realms, or wherever you are, you know, the three hub worlds, the Summer Forest, the Autumn Plains, and the Winter Tundra, are drastically different, but they're consistently open world. What this means is that if Vicarious Visions is going to handle it, I'm not sure if they're going to need an entirely new game engine, but they're going to have to approach Spyro in a very different manner than they did Crash Bandicoot. Because Crash Bandicoot, the Insane Trilogy, I believe, is not a well-optimized game. Why do I say this? Because it's running at 1440p 30 on the PS4 Pro and 1080p 30 on the standard model PS4. And I never once felt like when I looked at the game, while they were gorgeous, they were really pushing the PS4 and the PS4 Pro to their limits. Maybe if the games had double the frame rate at 60 frames a second, I would be saying that. But to me, it felt kind of lazy, and last-minute cutbacks were made to the game in an attempt to get the game out by its deadline. With Spyro, we can't have that. These levels are massive, and when you try to imagine them in PS4 Pro style visuals, including the characters and the enemies, a lot of time and skill is going to be required to get these games to run well on PS4 and PS4 Pro hardware. And that's something I want to see. But with Vicarious Visions, not that they did a bad job with the Insane Trilogy, I just don't feel like they did as good as they perhaps could have. Of course, that's up for debate, but I'd like to hear what you guys have to think, because the only other developer that I can think of that Activision may have some kind of relationship with is actually Insomniac, because Insomniac Games is a second-party developer, and they're not tied to any one major publisher. They've worked with Sony, they've worked with Microsoft, and they've gone back and forth, and they pretty much just do what they want, which, you know, seems nice. So it's possible maybe that Activision can approach Insomniac and even have them remaster the Spyro trilogy, but the thing is I don't know. And if Spyro is next, I would like to know who's going to handle it. That way I can get an idea, because Vicarious Visions has never handled the Spyro game in terms of the 3D realm. I think they made the GBA games, but let's be honest, a GBA game and a PS1 style title are two completely different beasts. So, with all that being said, let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Let's get a discussion going, and as always, I will see you in the next video, and until next time, this is Tristan, and we're done here.